Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I just quickly want to read you a comment here from Desiree Letwiti that says, it is that special time of the year when technical teachers are given an opportunity to converge, to share information, to get exposure, and to get enlightened on different subjects and topics. Thank you, Sasol Foundation, for joining the South African Technical and Vocational Educators Association. You can obviously follow that link. We are live and interactive. Please don't forget, just reminding you that at the end of tomorrow, we are going to be giving away some prizes, in particular a tablet. So the more you interact with us, the more you're interactive and asking questions, you stand your chance of winning that tablet. So the next topic is going to be called Progress on Three-Stream Model and Occupational Schools. And this is going to be brought to you by Dr. Moses Simelane, who will be joining us virtually.
Thank you very much. Although I don't see my presentation from my side, but I'm just going to go ahead and present. Maybe I should reduce my my camera. I don't know how to do that. Okay. If the presentation is visible, I'm going to be presenting on the three-stream model and the progress that we have made to date. This is the presentation outline, which I'm not going to talk to. I am going to present to conference an overview on progress in the implementation of the three-stream model, as indicated. Just to bring everybody on board in terms of the three-stream model itself, so that we are all on the same page. This is the concept that DBE has developed. It's a program that has been developed that refers to multiple learning pathways for schooling within the academic, vocational, and occupational curriculum offerings, leading to the General Education Certificate at NQF Level 1, of course, or at the end of grade 9, as well as the National Senior Certificate in the South African schooling system. What the three-stream model aims to achieve is that it aims to refocus and strengthen basic education as part of developing a single integrated education and training system in the country, as outlined in the National Policy Education Act. It contributes to remodeling the schooling system to respond to the national development imperatives, the skills demands of employers, the needs of graduates to secure employment and entrepreneurial opportunities, and to respond to the needs of local communities. My apologies. So the three-stream model as a program is also implemented. Alongside it is entrepreneurship in education, because our view as basic education is that we don't only have to produce people that will look for employment, but we also need to produce people that will create employment opportunities by starting their small businesses. The conceptual framing of the three-stream model, this program started over 6 years ago. From the basic education sector, we brought different stakeholders to assist us in conceptualizing how the program was going to unfold. It is a learner-focused approach program which is followed to enable individual learners to exercise more choices, remain in the schooling system for as long as possible, and exit the system more prepared for further learning and as responsible citizens and ready for the world of work. Especially exiting the schooling system at grade 12, it must be, it seeks to make sure that learners are even prepared for the world of work, so that even those that may not continue to hone their skills further by entering into higher education institutions, but they can articulate into the world of work because they would be prepared. Increased learning pathways to enable learners to articulate horizontally, vertically, and diagonally within and between the qualification sub-frameworks as espoused in the objectives of the NQF. Streaming should never be used in relation to ability levels or socioeconomic status of learners. A learner chooses a learning pathway, not forced into it. So in other words, the streaming of learners, for a lack of a better word, into these different learning pathways should be informed by learners' interest, by learners' aptitude in particular. Careful consideration should be given to articulation through the design of the curriculum, learning programs, learning pathways, and qualifications. Parity of esteem is key in the design of qualifications and learning programs across all pathways to ensure that all subjects, pathways, and learning programs are equally valued. So we should move away from the notion that learners will be channeled into the vocational and, of course, maybe the occupational learning pathways simply because they are struggling with the academic learning pathway. That should not be that should not be by design. It should be by choice. It should be by interest, and it should be by aptitude. Now, in terms of the status of the implementation of the three-stream model, the introduction, as I've indicated earlier on, started in 2016 at grade 10 with the 21 vocational subjects in the FET phase. In fact, it's actually 3 vocational subjects, which with their specialization and, of course, technical maths, technical sciences, and HGD, which were introduced at grade 10. And those subjects are making up what we call the vocational stream in terms of the three-stream model. This was followed by the introduction of 24 occupational subjects piloted in schools of skill from 2017 in grades 8 and 9 and years 1 to 4. The rollout, which actually started in 2021. What actually this is saying is that we started piloting the occupational subjects in schools of skill in 2017, and then the pilot in grades 8 and 9 in other schools, that is mainstream schools and technical high schools, started in 2021 in grade 8, and this year it is the pilot continues in grade 9. So the introduction of vocational subjects in the senior phase of the GET commenced in 2021, and that is what I've explained. And we have also written the curriculum. We have even presented and subjected these subjects, the curriculum at GET that we have developed, both in terms of vocationally oriented subjects as well as occupationally oriented subjects in the GET. We submitted those to Umalusi for appraisal, and we received feedback, and that feedback has already been incorporated in the subjects, and LTSM has been developed. So in actual fact, the curriculum has been written and completed. Now, in terms of the status of the pilot, the introduction of 13 vocationally oriented subjects in the GET phase, as I've indicated, started last year and continues this year. We were targeting 105 schools, public ordinary schools and focus, as well as technicalized schools across 8 provinces. The Northern Cape pilot was actually delayed. The occupational stream pilot in the FET phase is envisaged to commence in 2024, because currently we have just started a process of writing up the occupational program or the occupational subjects for the FET. The plan is to start this year, continue into 2023, so that by 2024, we should have the draft curriculum at FET level, so that we can allow articulation from GET into FET, and the pilot having to start in 2024. The strengthening involves the development of overarching curriculum framework for each of the streams, while defining their subject combinations and content, as well as articulation options for learners. The GEC, that is the General Education Certificate, is currently being piloted in 268 schools. What I need to inform conference is that we have reworked the General Education Certificate as presented in previous conferences. And the GEC was provisionally approved by Umalusi in March of 2021 with certain recommendations, and we have met about 4 of the recommendations from Umalusi. We are about to finalize the GEC and then resubmit it back to Umalusi for approval in terms of how we have taken care of the recommendations to strengthen the policy on the GEC. Now, as part of the program for implementing the 3-stream model in the basic education sector, one needs to indicate that in as much as we don't have yet funding for the 3-stream model from the vote or from government, but what the DBE has done was to present a proposal to the European Union in 2017, and that proposal was approved. The European Union provided funding to South African government for the project that is called Education for Employability, which we know as E4E. And from that, 3 government departments are receiving funding from the EU from a total funding of about 30 million euros when the funding was provided for the Education for Employability. And these 3 departments are DBE, Department of Higher Education and Training, as well as Department of Employment and Labor. So all 3 departments will be sharing in the 30 million euros. And Basic Education submitted the costed business plan in 2021 in August, and that business plan was approved by National Treasury to the tune of about 85 million rand over a 3-year period. And that is what we are utilizing currently to roll out the 3-stream model. And I must indicate that we have already received the first tranche from National Treasury end of December, beginning of 2022, to the tune of about 19 million rand. So the E4E project has a sectoral focus and has the purpose of supporting sector policies and reforms, improving governance and service delivery under the South Africa EU Budget Support Sector Reform Contract. The DBE, DHET, and DEL are collaborating partners in this contract. A key objective of the E4E budget support program is to contribute to policy learning, thereby supporting policy development and implementation with the target beneficiaries. Here, the beneficiaries are actually young people, especially from basic education, young people who are leaving school, so that they leave school equally equipped to either articulate in the world of work or to enter into higher education institutions and sort of learn trades that or qualifications that are in demand in industry and business. Lessons learned in the pilots are expected to influence departmental policy development or implementation in the four E4E result areas, that is policy development, pilot and testing, programs design and implementation, as well as improved collaboration for youth education and employability. I must apologize, I'm not 100% myself. I've got flu these days, so my voice will be fluctuating a bit. Apologies there. Now, if we look at the Education for Employability project, just a continuation to give more information, as already indicated, we received the first tranche of 19 million rand from National Treasury already, and a significant unutilized portion of this amount was surrendered to National Treasury at financial year end, that is on the 31st March 2022. The unfortunate thing is the money, that the release of the first tranche was actually delayed due to different technicalities. We only had 3 months to spend, 3 months of 2021-2022 to spend the 19 million rand. So we could not spend the entire amount. In fact, what was surrendered back to National Treasury was in the region of 15 million rand. So a rollover application has since been submitted to the National Treasury for these funds, which were already committed to be retransferred to the DBE. In addition, preparations for the second tranche file are underway. We want to submit a request for the second tranche allocation to DBE, which is separate from the rollover application, just to be specific, so that all the activities that are lined up for 2022-2023 financial year will then be carried out from the second tranche budget, which we are about to submit to National Treasury. The DBE, together with DHET, Department of Employment and Labor and National Treasury, are currently involved in the preparation of the E4E payment file 3 due to the EU at the end of September 2022. The next set of slides presents progress on the E4E business plan focus areas. I'll try to go through these quickly. Now, the components of the 3-stream model that are supported through the E4E business plan are the following. Firstly, the first component is the pilot study. That is the introduction of vocational subjects in the GET phase. And then the second one is the pilot study, that is pilot study 2, which is introduction of the general education certificate. As I've mentioned earlier on, that this year we are piloting the GEC in 268 schools. That is, what we are actually piloting is looking at how the GEC is going to, how assessment for the GEC or for this qualification is going to be undertaken and administered. There are some innovations in terms of the assessment. for the GEC, because we are not only going to assess the achievements, that is knowledge and skills, but we are also going to assess through the GEC learners' inclination as well. And this is the new innovation that is coming with the GEC and hence the pilot. Pilot number 3 is the introduction of occupational subjects in the FET phase. There are some support components, for instance, that are supporting these 3 components that I've presented from our business plan. For instance, there is research design for the pilots, development of systems and procedures, policy development, capacity building and training of teachers and subject advisors, advocacy, communication, and visibility. Advocacy is going to be key for the 3-stream model because we still, as a country, are battling to sort of understand and accept the value of vocational as well as occupational learning pathways, monitoring and evaluation, as well as the work that is done by the established project management unit. In terms of overviewing the progress on pilot study 1, that is the introduction of vocationally oriented subjects in grades 8 and 9, curriculum and assessment policy statements have been provisionally accepted by Umalusi. Final comments on the 1 outstanding subject are being attended to. Development of LTSM for 12 vocational subjects has been completed. Here we are talking about teacher guides and learner guides. That's what constitutes the LTSM. National training on the theoretical component of vocational subjects has been completed. It was done at the end of over a week period at the end of June, beginning of July 2022. MOUs to be signed with various skills training centers which are being finalized. There are 7 provinces with skills training centers. This is because the vocational stream and the occupational stream subjects have a high level of practicals, and therefore we are going to adopt the approach that we utilize to introduce the technical subjects in technical high schools in 2015, where the training also, it was not only the theoretical training, but also practical training for both teachers as well as subject advisors in skills training centers, whereby at the end of the training, teachers will be given sort of a startup tools box in terms of the equipment and tools that they require to teach the subjects back in their schools. So the tool for monitoring of the pilot has been developed and is being disseminated to provinces as we speak. So a total of 12 million has been spent already in terms of the writing of the caps, development of LTSM, and training to date. With regard to progress on the 2nd pilot, that is the introduction of the GEC. I've mentioned that piloting is taking place in 268 schools. Conceptual and digital development of inclinations and assessment has been completed. Competency framework has been developed. The GEC dashboard has been developed. We have also developed, and these have been developed into 2 integrated projects. That is maths, science and technology, life orientation, economic and management sciences, creative arts, home languages, first additional languages, as well as social sciences. Capacity building workshops with curriculum and assessment officials. nationally, provincially, and districts have been carried out, and we have held engagement meetings with senior provincial and district officials across all provinces. In terms of the third pilot, we have established, in preparation for the third pilot, which is the piloting in 2024, the occupational subjects at FET, we have established a technical team of experts, which we also refer to as a think tank, for strengthening the conceptualization of the occupational stream, which is currently underway. Pre-conceptualization, consultations and planning activities have commenced. The occupational stream pilot in the FET phase, of course, as indicated a number of times, will commence in 2024. In terms of policy development, concept notes for policy dialogues on articulation in the context of the three-stream model and entrepreneurship education have been approved by the E4E Project Steering Committee. This actually refers to policy areas that have been identified by basic education, which are going to form part of the policy dialogues, which are part of the integrated business plan between the three departments. So policy dialogues are already been planned for, and we have identified from basic education as part of our contribution to the policy dialogue, policies relating to articulation as well as entrepreneurship in education. So preparations involving the three collaboration departments in the E4E project are underway for roundtable discussions on the two and other policies which will culminate into a national policy dialogue in 2023. In terms of communications, advocacy, and visibility strategy, the communication strategy has been developed and is being implemented. Three-stream model, roadshows or activations were held in provinces. Radio and TV campaigns have been held. Branding materials have been designed. A total of about R1 million has already been spent in this regard. In terms of monitoring and evaluation, the draft monitoring and evaluation framework for the E4E project has been developed because it is anticipated from the EU directive that an external evaluation of the E4E project will have to be undertaken towards the end of 2022. So basically that takes care of the program that the progress that we have made on the implementation of the three-stream model. Thank you very much, Program Director, and thank you to the conference for affording us as DPE the opportunity to make this presentation.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Simelane, for that. Really appreciate it, the progress on three-stream model and occupational schools.